Welcome to the Thrive Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Jamie Smith and
Tara Galuska
from Thrive Art Studio.
We believe that being an artist is very important and often lonely work. So here at Thrive, we host monthly mastermind meetings with groups of female, gender fluid, and gender non-binary artists from all around the world. We support and help each other stay accountable and motivated in our art businesses and our art practices.
Thrive Mastermind actually started with just 6 of my artist friends at my studio in 2015. At that time, little did we know we were actually starting a movement.
At Thrive, we believe the keys to success are to make art, meet your people, and do the work.
Part of this doing the work are these monthly check-ins with each other. They help us stay inspired, motivated, and accountable, which is so hard when you're doing this all on your own. Mastermind meetings follow a specific structure, and this podcast follows the very same one.
So, whether you're a Thrive Mastermind member, a fellow artist, or you're just curious about what it is that artists do and talk about, we are excited to invite you to share in our discussions.
Welcome to episode 12. Today our guest is Kari Kristensen. Hi, Kari.
Hello.
I'm going to share a little bit about Kari in case you don't know her. So Kari Kristensen is a contemporary Canadian printmaker living in Vancouver, BC. Born and raised in a small town in Ontario, Kari is a graduate of the University of Guelph, where she studied art history and classical studies. Both disciplines inform her work in equal measure, and she also credits her close proximity to the London regionalism movement and the McMichael Gallery as a major artistic influence to her. After moving to Vancouver, Kari belonged to a printmaking collective on Granville Island prior to establishing her own practice in the historic 1000 Parker Street studio building.
Kari is not only a Thrive member, but she's also a brand new Thrive leader. And I think it's really important when talking about Kari to mention that one of her studio mates is the one and only Frida Kahlo.
What?
Yes, your dog is named after Frida Kahlo.
It's true. I wondered how long we would go into the podcast before Frida was mentioned because she's such a part of my life.
Yeah, just the very first lines, Kari. We got you.
Good.
Studio mate and best pup.
Best bud.
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited to have you join us, Kari. Welcome. You know the deal here. You know the format. You've been a member a year member, and now a leader, which is so exciting.
Newly minted.
Yes.
Newbie, yeah. And you're the first group to go through our real fancy leadership training program. So we'll see how we did.
High expectations, people.
High expectations. So is there something that you've been working on that you're really excited about? Tara, what about you, hun?
Well, I haven't been working on this. Mother Nature has, but it is spring and summer, and I am so excited.
Oh, Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, thank you. I can feel alive again. I've been sick. I feel like it's been constant since October. I've been just getting sick and sick and sick. So I'm getting over another sickness, and I'm sort of past, I was just bored and sad, and now I'm feeling better. And so I'm just excited, and that coinciding with spring, I feel kind of creatively energized, which I haven't really felt for a while.
Sick, bored, and sad.
Yeah.
Wow. But now no longer.
No.
No longer.
Just sad.
Just sad. Kari, well, there's a lot
Just
you got
brush
to
over that.
Bring us back to happiness there.
What are you excited about?
I'm excited about I've been working on small studies in print. At first, when someone suggested I do small studies, I didn't know how to go about doing it because I didn't want to make a little tiny wee little print. But I realized that I could focus in on just one element of a print, just exploring how a shadow falls in a certain print, or introducing a different color, and trying out new techniques and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about them because they feel, because they're so small and so less time consuming, they feel less risky. It just feels like, oh, no big deal, I'm just going to do a study. Mm-hmm. But then you see the possibility of them and realize, oh, I could turn this into a bigger print. So I'm pretty excited about them.
How big are you doing them?
They're around 9 by 9 or 10 by 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then normally what size are your work?
Closer to 30 by 30.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So this is less risky.
Less risky.
That's cool.
I remember when you started talking about them at that meeting and you were like, and guys, there's color. And I think we all like broke out into applause. We're like, what colors, Kari? What colors?
No, people are always like, because like the current series of work is the one, like mostly the one color for a reason, right? It just reminds me of Vancouver, the sky, the water, the rain, all of it. But yeah, introducing color, I think if people are throwing it, I'm throwing them off with it, but I can do color.
Yeah.
Studies of color. So this month, I am really excited that Rove is happening. So Rove is an art walk that I started, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 years ago. I realized that this is the 10th Rove that I've organized.
Whoa.
And yeah, and it's an art walk on Main Street, Mount Pleasant, where Thrive started and where we ran our meetings. I'm just excited that, well, for the first time, I'm actually roving. I'm not showing work. And there's a Thrive show happening. So at one of our latest collaborations and opportunities for members, Kafka Coffee and Tea has put on a Thrive show. So their curator, Michael, selected from submissions from members. So for me, it's kind of like full circle. It's the art walk I started because I was an artist and was really alone and wanted to bring people together. I wanted to meet people in my community. So back in the day, I literally knocked on doors of galleries to get people involved. And so now it's different. We have a group of venues that are in and excited. And so that's really come full circle. And then to have a Thrive show happening on the route in an awesome location with supportive people that support the arts is really exciting. So, and
it may have already happened.
It may have already happened in podcast land.
You should subscribe to our newsletter.
Yeah, because it happens every year in May. So if you've missed it, you just gotta wait a year.
Yeah.
How big was the first Rove?
Oh my gosh, the first Rove was really different. I didn't know anyone, so I wanted to do my own show. So my show was, let's say, 5th in Maine. But then I knew a woman who had this awesome clothing store and she had artists there all the time. And she was, looking back, she was like 35th in Maine. So you had to drive Rove.
There was a lot of roving.
There's a lot of roving, but I wasn't going to be picky. And now Rove it's so funny because it's literally 2nd and Broadway. So 2nd and 8th, it's that small. And it's only one night from 6 to 10. So the first Rove was, if you said yes, you were in it, no matter where you were on Maine. So yeah, it was great. And I started at that first one was with a Thrive member, April Assure, and I wanted to do it. And I talked her into putting on her own show, and she never has forgiven me because it was so much work. And she came up with the name, and I told her, like, it's a one-time thing. And then here we are 5 years later. Can't say no. Tara, share something you've learned this month. Question 2.
Yeah, so this is kind of a long time learning thing. So about a year ago, I did a business course. It's called Grow Through Spring. And so Jamie and I are mastermind members because we just can't get enough masterminds, Kari.
More meetings.
So we're members of spring mastermind groups. But before that, we did this course. So Jamie did it first and then I did it. And it was this day when me and our fellow students were just like, all in a mess. And Keith was looking at us and just like, oh my God, there is something really wrong with these people. I have to help them. We're going to kind of scrap the lesson for today. So what he did was he was like, I need you to tell me your to-do list. And I was super proud because I had my massive to-do list all set up in Asana. And so I could read it all out to him and tell him all the things and be like, look how organized I am. And then everyone had to
Such a kiss ass.
I'm just
all
the
the
worst.
things.
All I want is
It's
for Keith
amazing.
to approve of me.
Keith runs Spring, by the way.
Yes,
he started
Keith,
it. He's
yes.
our mentor. He's amazing.
He is, yeah. He's not just like some man.
A man.
All I want is just any man to approve of me. So anyway, and then everyone had to do it. And then he's like, okay, so I'm going to get you to find one thing, maybe 2 on this list, and you're going to cut it off your list and you're never going to do it. and no one in your company is ever going to do it.
And Tara's poor little kiss-ass heart just started
I was
pounding.
angry.
Oh, she got angry.
I got angry, and I was just like furious. And then I sort of heard him talking to other people, and I was like, yeah, they should cut that, whatever. Then it comes to me, and he was, I can remember what it was. We were going to have a Thrive talk, and so I wanted to like make the slides really nice. Like before the talk, like Jamie's little introduction. And he was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. No one, like, it's fine.
No one
What
cares.
you have is great. And I wanted to fight him so hard. I wanted to kill him because that's not acceptable.
That's not an A+.
That is not an A+. And then I was just like, okay, so it was a big financial investment for us to do this. I was like, we're spending a lot of money to do this. This person is an expert. He has not steered you wrong so far. You could take this time to fight with him, or you could just shut your mouth and listen and then do it, or like maybe do it.
So deep down, you were like, I'm just adding this right back to my list when he leaves.
Well, fine. And then
You didn't do it.
wait, we didn't do it.
No.
And we kind of recently did it because we could delegate it to somebody.
So that story of you getting mad at our mentor, Keith.
Yeah.
Is there a lesson?
Hi, Keith.
Yeah.
I just got so caught up in
You relived that
he
moment.
made me cut something off my to-do list. Okay, and so the lesson was and is now it's actually priceless. We do it all the time. I just got so excited to like talk to people and talk about how mad I was, but I kept it to myself. So lesson is
Been off about Keith for quite some time.
We love Keith.
I love Keith so much. He's just like a blessing in my life, and like obviously something I needed because I was just so resistant to that particular thing. And it has been like, honestly, it was like a life-changing day for me because I think that feeling of like, I have to do everything and I have to do everything perfectly and I can't just let something go, or I couldn't delegate things. Like that is just a recipe for like disaster. I think if I held on to that, the business would fail. Like we wouldn't be here anymore. And so something that like I kind of brought back, and Jamie and I now do it, and it's still hard because we'll go through the to-do list and be like, well, what are we going to drop? So for me, that was a really kind of a life-changing lesson, even though I did just blank out on the lesson. And it's something that Jamie and I do now regularly because we regularly feel overwhelmed. And it's usually because we're just we've just piled on too much stuff. And so we have to go through and we have to cut things out. And my favorite word is no. So that does make it a little bit easier, but it's kind of hard because we love what we do, and just have to say no to things that we love can be difficult. So sometimes I break the rule of like no one's ever going to do it, and we'll park it, put in the parking spot for later. But it's really helpful because I don't know, we just want to do all of the things. I'm sure you can relate to that, wanting to do all of the things and do them all perfectly, the perfect lines, the perfect print, the perfect everything.
I do know Khari likes a perfect line.
It's true.
I do.
It's got to be hard letting go of that idea that you have to do everything yourself too.
Khari, what about you? What have you learned this month?
Well, I think it kind of flows out of hers. My big lesson is about embracing imperfection. And I think we talked about this a bit when I saw you down at the mural.
Oh, when I came and said hi and bossed you around
That's
for
right.
10 minutes?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember.
Totally did. Yeah. But I discovered, because of course it's only my second mural and I'm still learning how to do things, the method that I drew the mural on the wall, the marks wouldn't come off afterwards. So, of course, that broke my little perfectionist heart. I may have had like just a little tear. The person who was helping me that day just kind of walked away because she could tell I was not in a place that I should be talked to.
Amazing. That's a good person to work with.
She's a THRIVE member.
Okay.
Shout out to Edith. And then Jamie brought up something that Ola Volo talks about a lot, which is the hand of the artist in the mural, and it's okay to have those imperfections in there. And because, painting is new to me, what the hell, I don't fucking paint. I was doing all those little dots, those insane dots that I do in my prints. I was reproducing them on the wall, and I would put too much paint on my brush, and then the paint would go from one dot to the next and attach them together, and I'd be like, what the
Yeah.
This paint and shit is hard. But but I realized that's just part of it. It looks good. Like, you stand back, you can't see those. Only I can obsess about those lines that are on the wall. So embracing imperfection. It's what my lesson is.
I think, though, to give you some credit here, because I have to, because I bossed you around, is that to go from printmaking where it's so controlled, and you post a lot about your process on Instagram, and so to see that and see how the lines are measured, the cutting, you hold the knife in a certain way to get those lines, like it's all so technical. So of course to go to painting must just be so weird. So how brave of you, because it's really important. And I think painting, what I love about painting as my medium is that I love seeing the lines that the artists make and things not being even and they're supposed to jump around. Like there's a freedom there. With printmaking, it seems like you have your plan, you have to execute it, the prints have to be perfect. And I think with you, it's like, welcome to painting, because it's not perfect, and that's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, and also the public art piece, because you could be a painter in your studio and do a whatever level painting and no one has to see it, but yours. So just for the listener, can you explain the mural a little bit, where it was and what it was?
Yeah, it's a 20 by 20 foot wall on Granville Island in this new space that they're calling the Chain and Forge. It's a really transformative way to treat parking. They've made it basically into an outdoor art gallery. There's, I think, 10 murals there in total now.
It's a pretty small space. It's a parking lot,
It's just amazing. The way they curated it was perfect. It's all done together in combination with the Vancouver Mural Fest. So, it's an amazing, perfect, ideal place to do a mural too. Covered, there was no rain, there was no sun, it was perfect.
And big, but also you could get up with. Sandeep used a ladder, you used a lift, but it's nice for your second mural and an outdoor mural. Perfect. I got on that lift.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Took her up on the lift.
Terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Tara and I are retired from murals. I don't know if you know. Geometric murals.
Geometric specifically.
Yeah, we're retired.
You need some help with lines.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Well, this month I learned about the importance of documentation. So spending the time or the money on getting your work properly documented. So I've been working on paper, and I tried to photograph that work and it just was lost. Whereas my work on panel, the photography of that was so important. You could see the texture. It was really beautiful. So I actually took the paperwork to be scanned, and that just changed everything. And having the control of correcting colors so it looked to life. But I am not that talented. So one of our members, Lara, has a documentation business, and she's so amazing. She holds up the original and looks at the screen and matches them with her beautiful color matching eyes. And it was so amazing.
It's a very particular set of eyes to own.
I couldn't believe it. Because she's like, we need a little more tone here. And I did not see it at all. Her color matching eyes saw it.
She's good.
And she also came this week and took photos of the recent murals in the profile, the co-working space, and from the Thrive members. And Tara and our mural was on this cube structure. And so we've taken photos, but to see what she's come up with, and it just looks bright and beautiful and important. And it's just, they're so important to have, especially that was painful to create. So the photos make it look stunning.
Yeah. And we're all, dressed up, not in our painting gear, so it looks like it was just so effortless for us.
Yeah, we look like a girl band at one point, and Lara said, please don't do that anymore. And our awkwardness comes out. But I think she got one or two that we looked
She did,
half decent.
And poor Jamie was sneezing. She was so sick. She should not have come into work, but she was there, delirious on the couch.
A little gift for everyone, my germs.
And just between each shot, she'd just have these sneezing fits. But no one will know because Lara's a pro.
Well, and it was just so glamorous. When I think of the really making it, having it all, that was Jamie on Friday. So sick, but we had booked this appointment. I couldn't cancel it, and just snotting the whole time. You're welcome, guys. There you go.
Lara's amazing.
I
She
know.
is. The problem with Lara, and this is the one problem,
Oh, yeah. Give it to us.
Let's dish it.
once she's taken a photo of your work,
You can't go back.
you can't go back.
No,
you just
I
can't go
hear
back to
ya.
your iPhone. Your iPhone, you just, no thank you.
I know. That is a good warning here. It's good documentation. You just can't go back to the bad stuff. Yeah, I agree. Tara, what or who are you inspired by right now?
So there was almost a fight about this one because
I know.
both Jamie and I have been inspired by this.
But Tara recommended this to me, so
yeah.
I had to let Tara have it, but it's really hard.
Would you have like a little thumb war? How'd you decide?
I cried. Usually ends everything.
So this is it. Oprah and Amy Schumer on the Supersoul Sundays podcast. Do you listen to the Supersoul Sundays podcast?
Kari.
What is this?
Okay.
Oprah. It's the new Oprah. The new Oprah.
New Oprah. So, because she has her TV shows, Supersoul Sundays, and she talks to different people about spirituality and remembering your spirit and wonderful things that you just are just so excited about. I can just see you.
Everyone
just like,
loves Oprah. I mean,
everyone. Okay.
They do, Kari.
I know.
They
really do.
And so now, because she's been doing it for a long time, and now they're releasing them also as podcasts. So I'm listening to them as podcasts. So there's like, yeah, it's great. So she had a very recent episode with Amy Schumer. And so I listened in and it was great.
Yeah.
And guess what? I and maybe one and a half of us have in common with Amy Schumer and Oprah.
I'm a halfie.
Yeah. Guess what it is? What do I have in common with those two?
And I'm half. Kari, this is an easy game. Come on.
Yeah, totally. Don't put me on the spot at all.
We're introverts.
You're an introvert, right, Kari?
Not at all. No, of course I am.
Just checking in. I'm 50. Well, I did like one of those personality test things, and I'm 50% introvert, 50% extrovert, which is
Ambivert,
exhausting.
I think. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
you
worst.
get yourself into trouble.
Oh, all the time.
You want to go in, but you want to go out.
Oh, and I'm saying yes, and then my heart is saying
saying
no all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really good to hear them talk about it and how they manage it, because I think people always say, but you can't be because they're in the public eye and they speak publicly, but they talked about how hard they find small talk, which is my biggest fear. I find it so hard. Jamie and I sometimes have to practice what I'm going to say to people.
I give her lines.
She gives me lines.
that would
and
be
then-
useful for the situation we're headed into.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
We could all use a little pocket, Jamie.
Yeah, really.
You could be an app.
I should make a quick win. Small talk lines for artists.
Do it.
Okay, I'm into it.
Yeah, it's very
Have you
helpful.
had the shrimp? The shrimp is delicious. If there's ever shrimp, I talk about the shrimp.
I don't feel like I could pull that one off. Yeah, then we have to go through like what I can actually pull off, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, so me, Oprah, and Amy Schumer all have the same
Kari.
problem, and Kari. So
Yeah.
we're all amazing and beautiful. So yeah, it was really interesting. It was a very inspiring conversation, and I totally
You got to get your
recommend it.
You got to get your super soul on, Kari.
My soul.
You got to get it super. Kari, what question are we on? Kari, what are you inspired by this month?
I'm inspired by the people. Capital P, the people.
The people.
Yep. As an artist, social media, I often think about it as a job. Like it's something I do to promote myself, to promote my work. But seeing people interact with the mural this weekend, there was a big opening celebration for it, which I couldn't attend. But seeing other people interact with the mural, like people would like put their bikes up against it and make comments about it. They would, touch parts of it. They would stand in certain areas. They would make funny hand signs, as some people may have done. But it was really inspiring. Like as an artist, as the person who created it, it's inspiring to see people interact with your work in that way. And it's inspiring to see social media used in celebration and joy, and just like people happy to be around artwork, which is so lovely. It actually made me cry when I was sitting on my couch at home watching all this stuff come up on the feed and people thanking me for making such a nice work. It was just like such a lovely use of social media. And I thought, Instagram, I'm back in love with you again.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
It's a love story.
A love story. Instagram, a love story.
Well, and it's true with most artwork in galleries and that sort of thing, but especially with your work, it's on paper. It's usually displayed behind glass, and so people can get close, but it's very different than jumping up and being in it.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see people interact with your work like that. Just different scale. Amazing.
That's so cool.
The people, capital P.
Capital P, the people, Instagram, capital I.
What other things can you spell?
Jamie with a capital J. What about you? What are you inspired by?
I am inspired by Earl's with a capital E restaurant. So I am so excited that Thrive was selected to be part of the new Earl's opening in West Vancouver. And Ellie is the head designer there, and her team went through our member directory, which we're very proud of. It showcases all of our current members, and their team selected work that they wanted to put on this special wall that was the Thrive Art Studio feature wall. And this has been in the works since the fall, and we just get a lot of opportunities and also distractions thrown our way. And because my extroverted self says yes to them all, I dive right in. And sometimes I wonder if I've learned now to not really get too excited until the day has come. And I think it kind of worked in a funny way this time, because I've been really excited this was happening, but I showed up to the opening and I was extremely overwhelmed. I was really actually quite emotional about it, because it's, for me, the coming together of what Thrive is, which is bringing female artists into the public eye, giving them a feature place and saying this is important. And Earl's purchased all the work and framed the work beautifully. And there was this sense of importance to local art and celebrating women. And that is what it's all about. So I'm just really inspired that a business like Earl's and a place where they don't have to buy original art, they don't have to buy local art, would do that and see that as a really important value. We also had the sweetest staff members come up to us. We were in sort of a group sitting and with lots of the artists, and come up to us and just say how the art has inspired them and they're so happy it's there, and they just said such sweet things. So it was really, really wonderful. And the food was real good.
They did such a nice job with the framing.
Right?
Such a nice job.
Yeah. And I think in the end it was about 16 pieces of work, so a really nice collection and a lot of different work, painting, drawing, printmaking. So yeah, really proud, really excited.
I've had a couple people send me photos that didn't realize they've been there. I think it opened on the weekend, the new Earl's, Ambleside. And a couple people went and they didn't know that my work was there, friends of mine, and they're like, oh, look what I found.
Oh,
So,
that's cool.
It's kind of fun.
All right, so question 4, a new useful resource you found this month. Tara, what do you have for us?
So I have been saying yes.
No, you say no.
I say yes sometimes.
Okay.
So the things that I'm saying yes to are things that I haven't tried, especially if there's an element of it being a gift or free. And so
It's a good thing to try.
Yeah, so this is tied into my word of the year, which is abundance. So I can't say no to any abundance that is going to come my way. So what I said yes to is going floating.
Floating.
Floating
Have you ever
in
been
those
floating?
sensory deprivation tanks.
Whoa.
Yes. So I was very afraid of it. And I had a little friend with me in a different tank.
It was a different tank. We were not in the same tank.
We were not in the same tank.
Float House, we did not disobey your rules. Well, I'm just going to pop into the story right
Please
now
do,
because
yes.
I think it's important to say that floating has been recommended to us by 2 of our members, Erica and Lisa, who
Yes.
literally say it's life-changing.
Yes.
And they've told us so many times to go. And basically you get into this coffin of water and it's dark and it's about 10 inches of water and it's salt and you float and you're supposed to like let your body just like relax. And There's no sensory, there's no stimulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're in the dark, you're supposed to just relax and think and not think and be and have this really dreamy experience. Do you know what Tara did in this experience?
I don't know.
Tara, what did you do?
Well, long-time listeners will remember that I'm really good at floating.
She did it last summer.
I did it last summer. I'm looking forward to it again.
In a pool.
It's just like a talent I have. And Expert floater. So the salt takes care of that. So yeah, so they give you a whole, like, this is what you're supposed to do. But I just did what I wanted to do. And so I was splashing around.
She became a little porpoise.
I was like a little seal. There was music. I sang along. I like tried going like on my front. I did like I went upside down. Like I did the whole thing. You have to be careful. You will get salty water in your eyes, which happened to me. It wasn't that nice, but I had I had a whale of a time.
Yeah,
it was
you were
fabulous.
a little porpoise. She tried to send me messages through telepathically and asked me afterwards if I had heard her.
Yeah.
Oh, were you the woman screaming in the tank next door? Yeah, she was.
Yeah, my secret message was, Jamie, help!
Which is so scary. Like, why would you want me to hear that?
Yeah. Well, I asked her. I was like, so did you like sense anything from me? She's like, I didn't think about you once.
And it made me so happy.
She was so happy.
I got out of the tank and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about Tara. I didn't even think about Thrive. I win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie did all the things I think you're more supposed to do.
I had the greatest time.
She just meditated and was calm.
Thought about nothing.
So where does one do this?
So we went to Float House,
really good.
the location in Gastown, and
Is it really like a coffin?
Yeah. But in a great way.
It's a pretty big coffin.
Yeah.
And there's no water in coffins, I don't think.
Depends. Does it rain? And so there's a door, like a hatch thing. And the guy who gave us the intro, I think, it was so important because his whole thing was get in, close the hatch, but then go right back and find the hatch and open it so that you can get out. Because that's the thing. It's very, very dark. But I loved it. I had such a clear mind and I felt so relaxed. It was 90 minutes.
Whoa.
I know. And time and space converged and I thought about life. I thought about death in the best way.
I just got bored and splashed around.
Yeah, Tara became
it wasn't
a porpoise.
that deep, but I had a great time.
So is the resource floating or saying yes?
I think the resource is saying yes because I don't know if I'm going to I probably will float again, but it's not something like I'm implementing.
I'm into it.
Yeah, you're into it. I think I might do it again, but
you wouldn't have tried it unless you said yes.
Saying yes, and I would give floating a go. Yeah.
I'll try it because I
think you might like it.
I love like being in the ocean, floating in the ocean. I mean, that's the best part. No one likes to swim. You like to float, right? Mm-hmm. But normally it's like a group activity. Like this is not a solo in the dark activity.
A little you time. This is
introvert time.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah. Lock yourself away from all of the people you love so much.
The capital P people.
Yeah, when you need a break from them.
Kari, what resource do you have for us?
It's about the importance of getting professional help artistically.
Oh,
like not just professional help, but artistically.
Both are important, though.
Yes.
I know, and we're all familiar. I mean, it feels like redundant to say Dazed and Confucius, our unicorn of the art world.
Yes.
Penny Lane Shen.
Penny Lane Shen. I'm not only great art consultant, can help you with your website, but also I discovered can help you with your artist statement. Mm-hmm. Now, some people I think are resistant. I was resistant to the idea of someone else writing my artist statement because I thought, well, it's really personal. Like, shouldn't I be able to say that myself? But then I realized, I'm not the expert. I don't have all the time, and maybe it's good to let go of control. Circling back to Tara's answer, you like that?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, let go.
But I think, how it helped me as an artist is that I think she asked for notes ahead of time. So you give her your notes and your thoughts, and then they come up with this beautiful artist statement for you, which contains everything that you think about your work, but just says it in a really nice way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important, like as I get busier as an artist and as more opportunities come up, that I need to be able to talk about my work like that on the fly. Mm-hmm. So thinking about the notes and stuff ahead of time and what I'm trying to say. It really like hammers it in, because I already had an idea, of course, of what I was trying to say with my art, but it just really it just confronts you and makes you like nail it down. So now when people randomly ask me what my art's about on the fly, I'm not like, I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm really happy you see that. Yeah. I can say like, somewhat intelligent sounding things, and I can feel proud of what I'm saying.
Yeah. I had Penny Lane's team write mine as well. And one thing that I didn't expect with that as well is that I actually, reading back my work, made me want to make even better work, because it just inspired me to be like, these concepts are interesting. I am caring about really specific things. And yeah, just it felt like a new not a new direction, to continue going forward and to make another series. It was inspiring.
And I think some people worry about like having to come up with what it is they're trying to say about their artwork. But what you're saying about your artwork could just be the process of your artwork as well. But it's just it's giving you an opportunity to think about what it is about your art that makes it special, and that's what goes in the artist statement. So whatever that is, magic.
Yeah. What is the most important thing that people need to know?
And I think knowing that it changes, and you can have a series statement about a group of work, or you can have a statement that really suits what you're doing right now and then rewrite it in a year yourself or hire someone to do it. And I think we get really tied into, especially when we pay for it, like this statement has to say every single thing ever that I do now, before, and will do, which is not just like the website. It's a living thing, unfortunately. We all want it to a check mark, but you got to keep going. So this month I've been, maybe it's on my floating experience, but I've been really into these meditations it's a podcast. It's called Live Awake. And it's a Canadian woman, and there's only 20 of them kind of thing. But I just feel like how she words things and how she looks at the world really, really inspiring. So I've been listening to a couple every day, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm at the point now where if I haven't, by the end of the day, I'm like, oh no, I need those words. So I really enjoyed them. And then a friend gave me a intro month to Headspace Meditation App. And I haven't tried them yet, but I'm really excited to try those, because those are all different amounts of time you can try as well. And I won't be floating around and porpoising. I sit and I listen, Tara.
Dancing around like a porpoise is meditation as well. It's
when
my
she
prayer.
said that, she was dancing around like a porpoise.
When I think elegant dancing, I often don't think porpoise, but
When you see me, you're like, wow.
That makes sense.
That's awesome. You are listening to a portable Thrive Mastermind meeting. Thrive Mastermind is a year-long program, and members connect every month for support, accountability, and community. Applications are always open for visual artists here in Vancouver, Canada, and we have an online program for artists all over the world. So let's hear from our member, Amy Henny-Brown.
I think community is a really important word to be using when we talk about Thrive, not just in what it's done for my practice, but how I see it working for everybody. This idea of there being people coming together for common interest and common practice, but also looking to support your community. So it's not just taking out of the well, it's putting back in, and finding solidarity in practice.
Tara, what are you personally or professionally proud of this month?
I feel like I'm really getting the hang of the delegating thing. That was something that really came up in that conversation that I was talking about with Keith, was delegating, because he then found something else on my list that he was like, well, you have a member of your team who can do that. And I said, no, they can't, because this is really important. This is how Thrive, we have to have this work. This is how we make a living. If this isn't successful, then we're in trouble. And so I got mad. And I was just like, no, I was going to let go on the other thing, but I fought a little bit. And he was just like, look, delegating doesn't mean you just dump something off on someone's lap and you just you never to see them or it again. He he was just like, you're going to sit down with the person and you're going to explain it all and give them all the information. And then they're going to go away and they're going to do it. And then they're going to bring it back. And then you're going to proof it and you're going to check it. And and then you say, fix that, don't fix that until it's good enough. And then you'll use it. So yes, it's going to feel like you're doing more work now. But the next time that you get them to do it, it'll be like, 75%. And then the next time 55% you need to like kind of handhold, and then 25, and then they're doing it, and then they're probably better than you are. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, it's true. So
and I think with delegating though, and with that scenario, what I find hard is usually what you need done is something you need done quickly, and it's easier to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And delegating actually takes a ton of work of saying, this is what I need. It's creating a system of how it gets done. But in the long run, it's way quicker because you then have a system of how it's done. But it's a hard one. So you've done a great job.
Yeah, and I feel like I've gotten way better at it now. Like I can just let things go. I think... Also, I have people who I can really trust. I really feel really happy with our little team of interns at the moment. They're just so great. And they're, I think we can admit it, they're both smarter than Jamie and I, which I just love. It's so nice to just work with really smart people.
We try so hard. We want them to like us so much.
Yeah. But yeah, they're like really smart, and so I can like hand things off, and they understand grammar and spelling that I don't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's become exciting to delegate now because I have good people, and I also can explain a lot better, and I know that I get to have a proofread. It's okay. So yeah,
so still control the letting go is really what she's saying.
I saw an inspiring quote on Instagram, and it said, "Let go or get dragged."
Oh,
and I was like, "Yeah, done
I like
that a few times."
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
Khari, what are you proud of this month?
Well, I'm proud of not being overwhelmed. I mean, I can't think of another way to say it. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and instead of being overwhelmed by the work and intimidated by the work and stressed out, I find that the busier I get, the more energized I am, the more excited I get about the work. I've got my first 2 solo shows coming up.
Wow.
Be careful what you wish for, because every artist wants a solo show, right? But, when you get asked to do 2 at the same time, it's maybe...
Wow. What are those?
There's one at Kafka's in June.
Okay.
Right after the Thrive show.
Okay.
And then the one at the Vancouver Art Gallery Art Rental and Sales. I'm their featured artist for June, July, and August.
Oh, wow. Really at the same time next
month? Very same time, and I drop off the work within like a day of each other.
Wow.
And I have to do a talk there too, which is it's all exciting to me. It's fun. I think this is a great challenge. Even though I spent the last week and a half working on the mural on Grenville Island, and that's work, right? It was work, but I felt like it kept me away from my studio. I find myself clamoring to get back there because I feel like I started doing this late in life because life happened, right? Things happened. I couldn't be a full-time artist until I was in my 40s. So I feel like I got a lot to say and a little time to say it. So damn, I gotta get at it.
You gotta hustle.
Yeah,
you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm happy that I'm not oh, this is crazy. I'm more like, this is super fun.
Yeah.
Being an artist, shit's fun.
Yeah, shit is fun.
Do you think part of that has to do with being in your 40s? Like if you were 22, say, and all these things were happening, is that part of being able to manage it better, or you just...
I don't know. I think it's like being just at the right point and artistically, having confidence in the work and because it takes a long time to figure out what it is you have to say. That's different than what everyone else has to say. And I think once you figure that out, it's like shit's easy, right? It's not easy at all, but no problem. Just figure out what you got to say. No big deal. But I think that's it. And maybe I think in my 20s I probably wouldn't have been ready for it. I would have been all over the place, doing too many things. Yeah.
Well, and your work is so process-based, it seems, with printmaking. Again, this is speaking from an outsider and watching Instagram videos. And so you've really done the work to know you can produce the work at this level and what you need to get done, right? Like you've built that process in your style.
Yeah, and I think it's about always working. Like my motto is show up, right? Like I go to my studio, even if I don't have anything I think I want to work on that day, I just go because it's not going to happen if I'm watching Netflix on my couch.
Yeah.
So I think like the confidence comes from having that body of work too, right? And because work just flows from other work. That's how it happens, right? Like it doesn't, like the aha moment just doesn't happen. It just comes from working on something else. So having the backlog, it sounds such a bad word. It's a good log of
Inventory.
Precious inventory.
Inventory.
You have things you can do with it, right?
Yeah. And you can build. It's building instead of starting, which is very different, right?
Yeah. And you won't know what you're doing. Like you've had quite a few firsts and new things, and you've just handled them great, even though there maybe was like a couple of tears or whatever doing this mural. Now you can paint a mural. Like Kari's ready to paint a mural anywhere. You got a wall.
Hey, universe.
Get in touch.
Kari's
like,
ready.
But you were pretty nervous before you did it.
It's true. My THRIVE Mastermind class will know. I bring all of the stuff up there, of course, because that's what it's for.
Yes.
So yeah, my own like little personal support work over there has helped me through all this stuff. So yeah, I feel ready for it, and I'm super excited by it.
Yeah.
Kari, you're thriving.
I'm doing the work.
You're
thriving.
someone I really think of when I think of doing the work. That's for sure. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Good for you.
Well, this month I am very proud that I did my first Pecha Kucha talk in Vancouver at the Vogue Theatre, and I made the mistake. I Googled it, and I Googled that there were 1,300 people going to be there when I was practicing, like 2 days before. Don't do that. If anyone wants an artist talk tip, don't find out how many people will be there because it doesn't matter. But yeah, I did it, and I found the process, the whole process was a lot. It's emotional. It's a lot of time, like a huge amount of time went into it. But what I found really interesting was actually crafting my story and thinking about what do you want to say. And I realized how much my story has changed just in the last couple years. And my story was always that I was a teacher and then became an artist. And then realizing that with Thrive, actually, my story is I was an artist and I built a community. And that community is then pushing me forward. And that excites me. There's so much to say there. And so that was just really neat to spend time. I had to do it. I had to create this talk. So putting together time to think about your story was huge for me, and it's similar to the artist statement, right? Like just making sure that you know where you're at. And I would highly recommend people like say yes to scary things like talks, and they create deadlines that creates momentum that you just have to show up and you have to speak. And I will even say I practiced and practiced and practiced. And when I was up there, I had a momentary blank. And I literally had the nightmare of what am I going to say? I have no idea. And I got through it. And I'm actually, the words came, and I actually feel like it was almost like a test and a triumph where you think, what's the worst can that happen? And I felt like it was the worst, but I'm still here and I survived, and the video's fine. So it's fine. You'll be fine, even if you're terrified of speaking.
Yeah, I'd say it was better than fine. I was there in the audience. It was awesome. She really did such a good job, and it was a moment where I could feel really proud because, like it's a really nice thing when you have, a business partner and you can see them really shine and do such a good job and do yourself proud, and you did Thrive proud, and it was beautiful. It was really. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Loved it.
Amazing to say yes to things that you're scared of.
Oh.
And have no fear.
Well, and that one was on my bucket list of imagine I could do it. I had gone when I'd first left teaching and was playing artist. I was being an artist. I went and watched a friend do a talk, and I remember thinking, what would I say? I don't even know what I'd say up there. I mean, I'd never be up there, but imagine. And it's always kind of stuck with me. And then it's funny, like, you know, Khari, you're saying getting a solo show is the dream, and then you get it and you get two, and, you know, you get asked, and I was asked, and of course the answer was yes, but then it set in what I had to do, and it was terrifying. But yeah, I don't think sometimes in our daydreams we actually picture getting those successes and how hard it is, but you got to show up and you got to do it.
I know. They're like, do you want to do a 20-foot mural? And I was like, yeah, I do.
Like, the answer has to be yes,
Just
but
say
what?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
No fear.
No fear.
Or fear, and who cares?
Yeah.
Right. It's maybe the belief that you can do anything, right? Like, I think that's, you know, I was raised, my dad always got me to help him do electric work with him or plumbing work. So, I mean, I still do that stuff at my own house. So it's just because, why not? I can do it. I mean.
And YouTube.
Of course. There's
Our friend YouTube can help. Yeah. Saying yes. Saying yes. Tara, do you have anything you need advice on or a struggle this month?
Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit, Khari, but I'd like to kind of dive deeper into that doing the work piece. Just because, you know, a lot of meetings or in calls when people are talking about, you know, maybe joining Thrive, we ask them, you know, what are you struggling with? And oftentimes I'll have people say, really struggling getting into the studio, really struggling like doing the work. And when I do that, I think of you, and I think of Annette Newkirk. I think that's how you say her last name. I think of you and I think of Annette, because you two go to the studio every day and you're there and you just do what you have to do. And I would love to hear kind of how you do that, or if you have any tips, or has it always been like that? Have you ever struggled with, you know, leaving the Netflix? What?
No.
She just gave me the finger. No. I will not let that pass. Okay. What have I done? I put you on the spot?
No, not at all. No, I think I think it's such a huge question, right? Like a lot of artists, and as someone like I share a studio with 5 other people, so I've seen over the years that I've been at Parker, I've seen this struggle in person.
Yeah.
And I'm always I just wish they'd come in. They would know the magic if they were here.
Yeah.
You know, the studio is such a good place to be, and I think, like for me anyway, like so.
Yeah.
I create rituals at the studio, things that I look forward to. Like, I always make sure I have 2 cups of coffee a day. My second cup can only happen if I get to the studio. For example, I get to the studio and there's 2 sets of lights. I leave one set of lights off and I light a candle. Because in the morning I find, it's romantic in the studio in the morning. No, and it's just the way I start my day. And then I have a certain podcast that I listen to that's about 20 minutes long. So there's rituals, and I think that helps because I look forward to those things. Frida really helps because you know that she's young. She needs to walk to the studio, or you know, I'm not sleeping later that night, right? So so she needs exercise. So it all just kind of goes together. And then again, there's that magic of the work, right? The magic that you feel when it happens, because you know like you have certain days that you know what's happening and certain days it's not, but like the days that it feels like it's not, I mean, I'm still there, I'm still doing something. It might not be like I'm not going to show it on Instagram, but it's still something that I'm working out and something that I'm trying.
Yeah.
And it builds. Yeah. I like the candle one.
Oh, I love the candle.
Yeah.
I always get a pine scented one too.
Oh.
I like things that smell like the forest.
Yeah, which kind of is your work as well.
So
yeah.
Ooh.
And my studio also doesn't have any outdoor light. It has it has 2 windows, but they're too like a cement crawl space. So they're closed all the time. So there's no natural light in there. So the candle, I have to create it.
Yeah.
Create the environment.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's rituals. Rituals help.
Ritual. I like that. I think that's such a great practical tip.
Do you do the business side of your art practice in that same space?
We just probably about a year ago decided to get the internet there, so we actually could do a bit more of the business stuff. As stuff got busier, I realized that I always said to myself, I'm going to have an admin day and spend it at home. But then I realized, it's just at home, there's so many other things to do. So yeah, it's easier if that stuff happens there.
Okay. And do you have a certain day for it, or do you now mix, you just got to get it all done?
Well, I mean, admittedly, I struggle a bit with it. It's still something that I'm trying to figure out where to put it in there, because I get to the studio and I just want to work on, I just want to be printing. I really do. Like, it's hard to do anything else but that.
Yeah.
But so I kind of am ad hoc putting it in places, but again, the busier I get, the more admin stuff there is to do. So, I'm trying to work it in while I'm there.
That's awesome. Great answer.
You think?
Yeah.
That was great.
It's so hard. It's so hard answering that question because I feel the same way when people talk about Thrive because I feel like you have to be all in. Like this is not a dabbling thing. Like you gotta be committed to it. Like you have to come to the meetings because the meetings is where we talk to each other and we solve our problems. You have to network. You have to like come and meet other people at those Thrive field trips because that's where I made friends. That's where I met people outside of my group. And that's where some of the other magic happens, right? Because you just don't know who you're going to meet and what that's going to lead to. So it's the same thing. It's about a commitment to my work and myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you answered that really well because all we do at Thrive is we talk about ourselves and our own experiences, right? Like you don't have to fix somebody else who's having trouble going into the studio. Like you know what works for you. And
I think
I'm gonna
for
get
me,
some candles because I used to have candles in my studio at home, but I haven't had them outside. Yeah.
I think what I find about the studio and showing up is realize my motivation is a lot about people. And so with Thrive, there's people that need me. If we're being blunt and weird and honest, there's people.
Need you, Jamie.
There are. I have.
You, Jamie.
Oh wow.
There's so much need just in this room.
Needy.
Which apparently like really feeds my motivation. But it's just, there's meetings or people coming in or emails and stuff and then I'm still working through how the studio and I think it is just making work that builds the next work and the work needs you, but creating that ritual around it because it is kind of that space that I'm there on my own. And especially because my focus is so on Thrive, there's no one's waiting for a project, like an art piece. No one's waiting for these things. So I'm trying to work on creating a little bit of that self ritual around it. So I really needed that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel a little bad about giving you the finger now.
Don't feel too bad.
Great.
Yeah.
There's Jamie's ever done that to me before. Surprisingly, I've got. Well,
there's a first here on the podcast. Tara gets her first finger.
You're both.
Kari, do you have a struggle for us?
I do. Okay, when I started all of this, it was always just about me making work and me doing work and me having artwork. And so the work was always the focus of it. But I think like with increased attention on my work comes like a bit more attention on me personally. So it's the me and the media that I don't like. I've always been uncomfortable being the center of attention. It has to do with a lot of things. We all have baggage, right? I think like growing up gay in a small town, I was as small as possible. I tried not to be noticeable.
Yeah.
But of course, I know I'm a special little snowflake, and in life, being gay has made me what I am, basically. Like in many ways, I'm very thankful for it. But I think like it always, so that the media and being asked about your work, but then the focus is on you and pictures of you, and it just like it pokes and prods at those areas of discomfort for me. So how do you deal with personal attention, not work attention?
Well, I had experienced this with the Pecha Kucha talk because I built out the slide deck with a bunch of pretty pictures and it looked great. And then I did it I practiced the piece in front of my friend and her partner, and they were like, no, it has to have you in it. You have to put the old photos of you starting art school. And there's one of me hiking and I'm wearing these ridiculous socks. And it's graduation. And I found it was really interesting because with Thrive, Tara and I have had to really show up as Tara and I in this podcast. Like, sometimes it's hard to come in and speak this way, but I found the pictures of that little Jamie who was just struggling and she just didn't know her way. And then to put, I don't know, it was a very strange experience. And I had to, though, it came down to, I know I'm here for impact. I know I'm here to share something, and if that's going to enhance the message, and it did, it was purposeful that I had to say, like, little Jamie would want this.
Yeah.
And it really helped. I had to go through a process with it. So I don't know, I get it. But people, especially now with social media, they have to know who the artist is. You are now.
I'm the brand.
You're the work. No, you are, but you're the impact of the work. You're the story. You're the human piece. And it's really important. I know. You have to go back to little Kari and say, Kari, you've done the work, but now you gotta show up.
Yeah. And it's up to you what you want to share, like how personal you want to be. So you can be not personal at all. Mm-hmm. You can just say nothing. Like there is some tricks. We've talked about this actually in a meeting once when I was talking about.
Back
and
to the
you
meeting.
gave great advice to me, and it was about Instagram. So I was sort of doing some work that felt really personal to me, and I wanted to sort of talk about it, but I didn't want to talk about it at all in some ways. And so you and a few of the other members were like, well, there's a way to be personal and to not share everything. So you can say, so for me, it was a post about, there was some ghosts in it, and I was thinking about grief and loss that I'd had in my life that I didn't see again. I'm being personal, but I'm not telling anyone the story behind it, right? But I'm saying I've had grief and loss, and sometimes that's enough. And then that's kind of just what I shared. And then all these people were like, thanks for sharing so personally. And I was like, and I did. It is personal to share that, but it's also like private. And so it can be good to think about things that you won't talk about. So for me, like I talk about Bill and our relationship, but I don't talk about my parents, or I talk about my sister, but I don't, because there's certain things where it's just like, no.
So have an idea of
where
your no is.
Where your no is. Yeah, because you're in charge.
And taking those times to write those stories, I think, and just on your own aside, it's important that we do our own work instead of, I think where we get into trouble is where other people take control of the situation and say, give me this, I want this. And that's when we find that vulnerability and that feeling of like, oh, I overshared, or I shouldn't have done that, is taking time to craft your stories and what stories are not public viewing. And I'm very similar to Tara. I have things that are not. And that's where I feel really like, when we say the word brand, it's like a bad word, but I feel like in a way it's a really safe word, because then it's really like I'm crafting what I want to share and what will have the most impact. I don't think people need to know everything about me for my, I don't think it will help my message. Yeah. There's things you do not want to know.
Yeah. And you don't need to show people like your wounds, like your open sores. You can show like, if you want, you can show like the scar tissue stuff, which can be really empowering, and it has been that way for me. But yeah, if it's kind of like too much of an owie.
Sometimes I find it hard because some things about me are obvious by looking at me. So things about my, like I when I see pictures of myself in the media, like say over the weekend, like there was some stuff in the papers with the murals, with me in front of the murals, and I'm like, oh, it'd be such a nicer picture if I wasn't in it.
Oh,
because sometimes I want it just to be about the work, because the work is the message. At least that's how I feel. Maybe I need to change how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because we're so in the work. It's all our time and all our energy, and we want it to stand on its own. But especially when you're a part of community projects or something like Vancouver Mural Fest, like there's an expectation that you as the artist are part of that story. And so if it comes down to that's just too much, then it is part of, I don't do these anymore, or, and that's okay. It's not going to like take away from your art practice. But it's just, doing an artist talk and doing a Pechakucha, those are two very different things, because Pechakucha asks for your story. It's more personal. So just kind of also doing your research on the opportunities you're taking, or especially if it's a media person, like a reporter, like what kind of questions they ask. And my girlfriend who's in PR, who helps us a lot, Julia Wilkinson, and has done videos with us for Thrive, she said the other day, always remember that you can not answer questions from media. And I think too, even on Instagram, people are asking and they're interested, but it's okay to no, and she said so many of her clients get so frazzled by the media asking questions that they say too much. And she's like, yeah, you just slow it down and, no, that's not something I talk about to the press and move on, Boundaries.
Yeah, people will want to know everything about you. I was so excited when you shared that snippet about you learning electronics and plumbing. Like, it's just
You're cool,
exciting.
Kari.
You're cool,
We want to know.
Interesting. So people just want everything and your work and your, and all of the things that are going on around it. So of course everybody wants to know everything, but you don't have to share everything.
Also, one
except
more thing.
with me and
One
Jamie.
more thing.
Yeah.
Is that
I love one more thing.
One more thing. I think with a lot of this stuff, we say this a lot at Thrive, it's a muscle that you practice and you get better at. And it's just like you're brand new to being in pictures with your work, and it's just that's happening now. And I would say now Thrive is getting interviews, and I was on a podcast and it was terrifying as a guest. And then I was on a second podcast, less terrifying. Now, if I was on another one, way less, so it is practice and it is polishing that story. And that's what I loved about the experience of Pecha Kucha was just polishing it up and then moving forward. So yeah.
Okay. Very helpful.
Build the muscles.
And also in helping building those muscles, for me, like something people sometimes compliment me on is, you're so confident. You seem so confident. And that is because I pretend. I throw on red lipstick and then I act like the Tara that I need to be. Like I act like
Beyonce.
Tara on the stage. Yeah, Beyonce, Oprah, Amy Schumer now. We're all the same.
Yeah.
And that's just who I show up as. And meanwhile, I might go home and have a big cry and be like, I'm such a loser and whatever. And that's fine because that's part of my process.
The glamour of it all.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, you're in it now.
Yeah.
You're in it.
You can do it.
And we like seeing pictures of you,
Yeah.
and we like all
Yeah.
of the things.
Yeah.
So kind of in the vein of all of this is that, how do you guys deal with a show hangover? So show, or for me, it was Pecha Kucha. It's whatever it is that putting in a mural is that you've worked really hard to do. You spend a lot of time and energy, and there's a lot of hype, and then you wake up and it's over. And I'm finding it hard to feel motivated because I just was so focused on that. And I'm wondering, I was going to ask if you have rituals, which is kind of come up already, but is there just things that you've done that have helped?
So I think a really big cry is helpful.
I did that.
You've done that?
Yeah, check.
Check. Do it more if you would like. Feel free right now with us. A good cry. So what is the kind of feeling? Are you just feeling kind of depleted? Are you feeling like what's next? Are you feeling antsy? Like what's sort of bubbling?
I think I feel okay. Like it's been almost a week, and the next day I was really proud of myself because I slept in and then I went for a walk with Tara instead of just normally in the past I would just be up at 7 and back into work. And I just knew that for me, Pecha Kucha was a big deal and I needed time. So that was really nice. And then, and so I'm feeling fine. Like I'm feeling good. It was just more like, I know even back in the day, I found it way harder to get back on my feet. And so anything that you do, I know for me, like when I've had other artists ask, I'll always say like, just have something planned in the morning, whether it's brunch or a walk or something, or just saying I am sleeping in. But usually it's important to get out of the house because you can kind of lie there in bed thinking, oh my gosh, it's done. What did I just do?
Do you often find it's like, because we talk, I think we hear about it a lot as artists, it might have been mentioned on the podcast before, that we often go from one thing to the next, like one, which almost sometimes feels like a bit of a validation. So then at the end of it, there's this little bit of a lull. But I don't think that's what this was in this case. I think you just did a lot of work and you had this story and then you're like, what next? Because that was the biggest thing. But I don't know, for you, there's so much going on. Like, there's always something wrong with Thrive. There's always the next thing, right? So it's important that you sat back and you slept in that day and went for a walk. I mean, that's the same, like the day after the mural, I slept in and I stayed home that day, which is super unusual for me. So it felt super special, to sit on the patio in the sun and occasionally think about, because while things are happening, you don't really think about, wow, you don't, like, good job.
Yeah.
You did a good job there.
Yeah.
So I had that day, I was like, good job.
Yeah.
Self.
Yeah.
I think actually on that, I've maybe haven't, I like a good journal session. I love it. I love a cafe, cup of tea, out in the world, journaling. And I don't think I've done the celebration piece of the Pechakucha and maybe written down how it went, because it was just such a blur and such a hype. So I think that's my next thing.
And I like that specific piece of telling yourself, like, good job. And not just like, oh yeah, I did it. That was, because that's something that's been on your list of like things you wanted to do, but just like, great job. Like, you were really nervous. Not that day, but the day before. I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this because I think
Jamie
people
gets nervous.
I think it would actually be really helpful for people to hear about, actually, because you know, watching the video, she looks so polished. She like was first out. She like was
First
just
out.
like,
I was
boom,
first.
look at me. And she like said it, and she like, I don't know, at the end, she's like, this is the future of art. Like, she like, yeah.
I made a lot of claims.
She
and
did.
I had my fist in the
She
air
had
at
her
one
fist
point.
in the air. Like, yeah, she like was all of the things, and everyone's like, whoa. But 2 days before, you were not like that. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this,
No,
but
go
I think
for
it
it.
actually would be really helpful for people to hear, because I think a lot of the times people see you and you're like crushing it.
Well, I'm wearing an artist kimono.
You're
And when
wearing
you
your
wear an
outfit.
artist kimono, you know that you've made it. That's a lie. I just wear that, hopefully, that it'll work out one day. No, I was a disaster and just taking on too much beforehand. And so, I was nauseous and teary and all the things. And it was really physical. It was, and I needed a lot of quiet and had a really hard time showing up for Thrive. And Tara had to baby me. And
kind of just left her alone.
yeah, which is what I needed.
Yeah, it was good.
And then but it's interesting because that was all on the Monday, and then I woke up on the Tuesday, and I also had not gotten much sleep. I had a really hard time sleeping, and I don't do well like that. So I canceled a morning thing, and I was like, I'm just gonna sleep until I wake up. And on the Tuesday, I woke up, and I was like, I can do this. I'd practiced so much, and I just was totally different state. And so the day of the event, I was a totally different. And so, I think it just like, it all affects us really differently. Tara does not get as nervous as I do about speaking. And
yeah, it's the in one-on-one that's very, very terrifying for me.
which,
Yeah.
have you had the shrimp?
You're a good balance.
Have you tried the
I
shrimp?
tried the shrimp.
So I think I think that's the important stuff is when you feel nauseous and weepy, you're probably doing what you're supposed to be doing, I think.
Yeah, and you did a great job, because I think I said when you were upset, I was like, you're not coming into work tomorrow. And you kind of flashed a look at me, and I was like, well, I said it, and we'll fight about it later.
And then I said, well, I'll work from home then. Yeah. And I didn't.
And I was just like, oh, she'll be fine. It's fine. And then, and then you were, because you knew you just needed to take care of yourself, and then you did it. And I guess it's the same, like, when it's over, is like, how can I best take care of myself? Like, what would be the kindest thing I could do for myself right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably floating around like a little porpoise at Float House.
Do it.
Probably. Well, this was awesome.
So fun.
Thank you all for being here. And thank you all for listening, because we really rambled on this one. If you want to get in touch with us to tell us to stay on track, you can visit our website at thriveartstudio.com, email us at info@thriveartstudio.com, and we're on Instagram at Thrive Art Studio, and Facebook is the same. Kari, where can we find you online?
People can find my website, just KariKristensen.com, or they can also find me on Instagram. I am the printmaker and her dog.
Frida
is on there. Do not worry.
And you did mention shows, but what events and shows do you have coming up?
I'm in the group show at Kafka's right now for Rove. I have a group show coming up at Parker Art Salon, May 25th, 26th, 27th. And then the 2 solo shows, one at Kafka's starting June the 14th, I believe. And then the other one is at Vancouver Art Rental and Sales from June to the end of August. And I'll be doing an artist talk on July 12th.
Awesome. Well, if you're nauseous and weeping, let me know and we can sit in silence together.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tara, where can we find you?
You can find me at Tara Goluska on Instagram, and my website is taragoluska.com.
Awesome. You can find me at Jamie Smith Studio, and my website is the same. Come find us.
Thank you, Kari, for being an amazing guest. Thanks to Lamin and Henny for all your hard work and support every month. Ellen and Victoria, thank you so much for interning with Thrive. You will be missed along with Joe. We miss you, Joe. Thanks to Marty and Laurie from Sonance Media for your help with the podcast. And also thank you to everyone for supporting the podcast by subscribing, sharing, and reviewing it. It really means a lot to us. Do you want to join our top secret private Facebook group? You know you do. It is Female Artists Unite on Facebook, and we would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to do the work and show up.
To learn more about the program and to apply, head on over to thriveartstudio.com/mastermind. We can't wait to hear from you.